Overwatch.
Now we move over into Anubis, and it's going to be Envy on the defense first, and this doesn't really surprise me. Even though you don't see Junkrat as often on first point Anubis, and you do see double sniper more often, the Junkrat did a lot of work on King's Row, so I think Tailspin's going, just go to it again. Why not?
So it's going to be triple tank, double support, and of course Leafa on the Widowmaker, because he's had a standout performance. It's just never been enough now. But the fact that they don't have a Mercy is a little bit off. But, of course, they do have the offensive respawn, so not as necessary here for them. But again, they are just slow in their approach right now.
I mean, this is putting Leafa in extreme hard mode. It means that he doesn't have a Mercy to pocket him, he doesn't have a Mercy to bring him back up, and he has to deal with Buds, who's going to be hiding behind an Orisa's shield. I know that Leafa has been doing a lot of the work for bye week, but he's going through the obstacle course from hell right now. This is very much, or quite a bit to ask from Widow.
So they got the 3 tanks onto the point, forcing down McGravy. As soon as he touches the ground, he has to use that booster pack. So 1 tick already given away. Tailspin from the high ground here for Envy. They're trying their best to shut down bye week.
Envy gave up a lot of space for free. Bye week did a good job of getting through relatively uncontested, and Bud's gonna fall. Minish and Waifu getting to the back line, and with both DPS down, this is actually gonna work out pretty well for bye week, and credit to the tanks there where they caught Envy off guard.
I'm surprised about the angles that Envy actually took on their defense. Generally, you see, if you have a double DPS, kind of approaching it from different angles. Widowmaker on one perch there on the left, and then maybe Junkrat on the right-hand side perch, but instead you saw they were both over on the left-hand side now. Bye week, they want to continue this momentum, so they're going to just barrel forward. They've got the Coalescence. Shane almost had that shatter.
Yeah, they're going to pop the Coalescence immediately here. As soon as they get on the point, there it is. Pizza Demon using the Coalescence, and bye week, they're just going to try and flood on the point, spam their attacks, and keep Envy back. But the problem is, Envy has an early Transcendence and Valkyrie. They are well healed up to take the other way. Shane drops the hammer, knocks down the Diva. That'll be enough. Puts bye week in a very good spot as Tailspin and Shiny out of the fight. And Envy already against the ropes. What could be a very swift attack here for bye week.
They're trying their best to delay. McGravy gets demeched. 2 more members will be able to make it onto the point. That's Crimson going over to the Sombra. But he has to go ahead and use that translocate out. It's all bye week, still on the kill feed now, doing a great job. Crimzo with the stealth is trying his best to keep this contested.
Tyre's coming up. This Tyre's gonna need to get a big one. It's only 1 though. I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough. Now, there's no res in place, so it is 1 permanently down. Envy gets another round of respawns, but Tailspin is down, and we got emergency Doomfist here, and no we don't. Emergency Doomfist is gone. McGravy, of all people, on the Widowmaker. This is how you know things are dire for everyone. It's like, McGravy, go Widow, find a way through. But with Ice Shiny's delaying, Envy is kind of opening a window, but they still need to get a pick-off or 2. It's still good delay. They're losing well, in a sense, but bye week, keeping all their members alive. Waifu gonna let the self-destruct rip, and that should be it. Bye week, still such a quick time.
All in, and that is what this composition really likes to do. When you run that Moira Lucio and you're able to take the point, you just snowball into the next one, especially with a Ryan Zarya there. Now, early on in the fight, they used the Graviton along with the Earth Shatter at the same time, so they didn't get as much mileage off of it. But of course, because they used it so early, Shane is able to build up more, and he gets a second Earth Shatter in there. Now, most importantly, it was about making sure that the supports stayed alive. JKW and Pizza Demon as the Lucio and the Moira. For the triple tank composition, you need to make sure that those are the members that do not fall, or ultimately your attack will just go ahead and be thwarted. Now, Envy, it's going to be their turn to attack, and I don't know if they're going to be able to set the same pace as bye week's 5-minute time bank.
I am curious to see what Tail's going to play here. I highly doubt it's going to be an offensive Junkrat. I mean, again, you can kind of make it work, but it's not exactly something that tears down the house. But nope, it's going to be full dive coming up from Envy here. That Torbjorn will not be staying. Envy instead going to be going to dive on in and look for early weakness here. Meanwhile, for bye week, they're going to be running a fairly divey defense themselves, but the one upside here is that this is an opportunity for Leafa to rip things wide open. The key here, of course, is just not getting caught by Buds in the back line.
And Minish is also going to have to be on that duty, right? To make sure that Buds doesn't get it. The Sonic Arrows, along with just making sure that his Storm Arrows are spamming the right areas. We all know the traditional approach lane coming up from Genji's on the offense, where they try to take the left-hand side, they use the windows, and then they get into the perch where the Widowmaker is and try to one-shot her. So both Leafa and Minish are going to have to be cognizant of that this entire time now. But Bi-Week, I do like this defense coming out for them. It's mobile, it's got a lot of threats. We'll see how well Minish performs though, because Leafa definitely has, but it's up to Minish now to really start carrying his weight.
Minish on the Hanzo, and to your point, I mean, I think you look for Buds on the other side as Buds tries to get through the left. Of course, Buds ate a serious damage shot early on here, has to get healed up back up, and now you see Buds rotating to that left side.
It looks like Leafa is on the right-hand side, though, so he's already trying to play away from him, but trying his best to get these shurikens across, but the barriers there along with the defense matrix. Now Minish takes out Shiny. This pushes over, 2 kills going over, 1 res, though.
Yeah, I mean, you get the res, but you still got to back out. You are nowhere near in a good situation to do it. And you said, yeah, Minish has to prove himself. Well, he already has a dragon, so that's a pretty good start here for Minish. Laid in plenty of damage in the Shiny, got the early pickoff, and now is a dragon for the next fight.
Yeah, and it was a slow approach coming out from Envy, where they just kind of lollygagged around here. Now the jump comes in from Shiny. He might be the first to die. The Valkyrie's used. Leafa's already taken out Buds.
Yep, and the dragon's going to help zone the rest of Envy out. Envy in a really tough situation. He has Crimzo of all people on the Widowmaker, but Tailspin finding some room here as the fight breaks down. Got Shane, got Minish. Tailspin still up and in the fight. And now he's going to look at DMAC Waifu. Pulse Bomb up. Doesn't even need to use it here. Gets Waifu anyways with the aid of Shiny. And now he's going to rotate around. So Tracer finding a way through. Tailspin with 3 kills here thus far. And momentum swapped the entire other way as Bi-Week now probably have to give up point A.
And there in that last fight, JKW, he was caught out in the middle of the team, and so he had to try to get away from that dive, and he falls back to the Hanzo and goes for that res. But really, these reses you want on high priority targets like your main tank to get that extra HP back onto the points.
Pizza Demon just got the last little bit of healing needed for the Transcendence, so Buds won't have the easy opportunity to just blade right in. He's gonna have to wait.
Tailspin and Minish both have now swapped off over to the Brigitte, so now as he comes on in, there is the Transcendence to answer, so he's not going to get much off of this, but it's Shiny that takes out JKW.
Well, it was enough burst damage combined with Shiny that even Transcendence, they were able to get rid of JKW, so it's enough. However, 5-on-5, they're down to Winston. It's not the flawless fight you need to take the final point. Tailspin down, Buds working the outskirts, but Bi-Week, they've done enough damage to Envy here. Envy's not gonna be able to get the solid fight. And as a result, they're gonna have to back up and reset.
And especially if you get rid of the enemy Brigitte. She's so crucial, especially here on point B of Anubis. The team that loses the Brigitte will more than likely lose the fight there, as she offers so much control, damage, healing, basically everything you want here on point B.
There's a window for Envy here. They're going to have a Transcendence up. There's not going to be a good support on the way for Bi-Week. It's going to be a grittier fight, but if they can turn it into something that's more endurance-based, they have a chance here.
Now, Buds, even though he used that blade early on, he's almost got another one at the ready. There's no Transcendence this time around, so it's going to come down to Minish to try and shut it down. Buds just needs to land a few more shurikens, and he's getting damage boosted for it.
They should go in right now. They have a big advantage with Transcendence. They just need to dive on in and use it. Shiny fall! Oh, doesn't fall! Primal Rage just in time! On the edge, Crimzo gonna transcend the deal with the Dragon. Envy, everyone nice and healthy. Buds moving back on in. And ends up getting juked around. Doesn't do much with the blade at all. Part of that is that Pizza Demon had the Transcendence, so that's a good opportunity. 6-on-6 still on the point. Everyone is still alive. Shane fighting for opportunity. 2 down for Envy. The self-destruct from Waifu doing its duty. McGravy's not anywhere near as much. Bi-Week find a way through, and this trade out evolves. A second dragon from Leafa. That's gonna fish it out.
During that time too, Shane in the Primal Rage was able to bat away Fire, who was trying to go for the Resurrect. And so he shut that down by himself now. And Envy down to 4 minutes, still plenty of time to try and finish off this map, but now they are behind the 8 ball here. Bi-Week, they set a 5-minute time bank, so they're already at the advantage. Now coming into this next fight, they will have the advantage on the side of Envy, where they've got the Valkyrie, so they can try and go in, use the damage boost, chained with the Valkyrie here. Shiny should be able to find a prime target with his dive.
Crimzo built up a lot towards another Transcendence there, so we had a good ladder end of that fight, even though it was not a winning one. He already has Transcendence back up, so now Envy can layer the support else, but they lose Shiny immediately. He's getting focused down hard. Now it's gonna be Crimzo transcending to buy cover for that resurrection right now. They want Shiny back in the fight. Shiny ends up back at spawn, so he's not in the fight. They're not able to get the res, and Envy working on man disadvantage. Dragon comes in the other side, and Bye-Week, they withstand.
Yeah, remember, you don't have to get rid of the Mercy. You just have to boop her out of the distance of that resurrection. Now, Buds, he does get delayed here, and so Envy losing more valuable time down to 3 minutes. They're gonna have the blade again, but it's gonna be in the face once again of Pizza Demon's Transcendence, and along with Brigitte for coming out from Minish.
Yeah, I mean, Envy, that was their opportunity they had just there. They weren't able to make most of it. Bye-Week, they've been able to set up pretty well, and Envy's down to their final 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Minish is going to use that rally, so that's even more for Buds to try and cut through here. He's making his approach from the right-hand side. Tailspin or Shiny needs to create space for Buds. He needs to take that shield bash from Minish first.
Yeah, and ideally, they need to force out the Transcendence. I mean, if he goes and okay, he's going straight at the blade, but Pizza Demon's just going to hit Q and go, all right, I got Transcendence. Buds has to back out. There's no way this blade can do what it needs to do in that scenario. Buds ends up falling. Pizza Demon on point with Transcendences, and no one is forcing him to use it before the blade.
McGravy now on the retreat here. Some swap-offs coming out from Envy because the Hanzo just has not been working out for them. I feel like there are opportunities, right? If they had gone in with the Valkyrie blade, they can cut through with an extra, additional source of damage through that Transcendence, but they just haven't been able to get that kind of coordination down. Tailspin now going over to the Pharah himself, and this is a good answer. He can deal with the Brigitte, with Minish, as long as he gets a splash damage across.
Also, there's not really much to deal with Tailspin here either. And Envy can slow play this a little bit more. They don't have to worry about the Sport Ults on the other end. Lifa takes a big rocket early on, but he has the tools here. He's going to use the Dragon Strike to split things up. Bud's already down in the fight, caught Minish at the wrong time. And as a result, it's going to be very clean for Bye-Week as Envy starts to have to look at their final minute.
Minute 10. Possibly if they attack fast enough, but the thing is, Envy haven't been, right? They make their way into the point basically about here. They dawdle around for about 5-10 seconds, and then they go in for the dive. I know they're trying to set up the perfect dive, but it hasn't been working out for them now. It's going to come down to Shiny to try and split up the members for Tailspin and Buds to try and pick off.
But Envy, they've built up so many ults here. This is an opportunity. Lifa getting chunked early on. Waifu almost demeched. It's very good poke coming in. They're gonna self-destruct to make room, and he has to Transcend to get away, but it's not enough. Buds is picked off by Lifa real early on. They have to use the res. It's not gonna be up for Shiny now. Shiny is just perma-dead, and he had Primal Rage, so that really can't happen in this fight. Envy mismanaging ults to a degree, caught off guard by that early self-destruct, and they're thrown back. 20 seconds left, they might get another attempt, but it's gonna be very close.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mad scramble, as long as they don't get staggered, but take a look at the aggression coming up from Bye-Week. It is measured. Lifa falls back. They do not want to throw this points at all. 8 seconds left. Someone from Envy has to
go.
Has
to be Shiny. Shiny has to go into his Primal Rage. 2 seconds left, 1 second, not booped off, gets on the point, immediately Primal. So Envy gets another shot. Buds opens with the Dragon. Tailspin drops the barrage and ends up getting dropped in turn. Tailspin's barrage does nothing, but the Dragon does a lot. It sets up McGravy. Buds and McGravy moving on in, getting the kills they need. Envy not dead here yet. However, even if they get the point here, they're not going to get another attack there in full overtime. Bye-Week, yeah, you've given up point A, but you can rest easy because the worst case scenario for you here is a draw. However, if it is a draw, it doesn't mean you lose the series, so just get 33% on the point A.
They have 5 minutes. Yeah. They have 5 minutes. That's so much time for Bye-Week to take point A. They were slowed down a little bit on their initial offense, but ultimately, that's plenty of time to, if your pushes fail, to re-look at your game plan and change things up. They can try 2 different looks, right? 2 different compositions. So they could try to go for something very heavy where, they build up 6 ultimates like a Rein Zarya composition, just get onto point and then force Envy to fight on there because, well, Envy have to fight there. They can't give up 1/3. So Bye-Week are just completely in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, this would be one of the most ridiculous holds we have seen in Contenders, or really Overwatch, period, if Envy holds them off for 5 minutes on point A. Bear in mind that you're only allotted 4 minutes at the beginning of the map, and you don't see first point holds on Anubis very often at all. So Envy would have to go the extra mile, hold for 25% longer just to get a draw. However, in this particular case, a draw does win them the series. Yeah. So it is a victory condition in a sense, but man, it's going to have to be Envy playing out of their minds, and frankly, Lifa disappearing for that prophecy to come to pass.
Yeah, whether it's on Widowmaker or even on the Hanzo, he has been really coming in clutch for bye week now. This time it is going to be the Widowmaker, and yeah, bye week are going to go for that big team fight win. So they've got the Rein, they've got the Zarya. They're going to want to try and build up to critical mass, get 4 or 5 ultimates online, fight on the point, fight Envy there.
Yeah, and I mean also just give it time. 5 minutes for Leaf to pick off 1-2 people. Doesn't seem unreasonable to me. Seems like it is well within the statistical probabilities, but bye week gonna already be pushing Envy to the limit. They go onto the point right away, and bear in mind, Envy has no margin for error, but the Halt Widow combo dealing with Minish there. Tailspin gonna lay in the damage over the top, and it's a better first point defense from Envy here so far, but they still need to keep people on the point.
Yeah, before they didn't really know how to approach this defense, right? McGravy would go down and instantly he got popped up from that Diva, so he had to use the booster to get out. But this time around, the damage really did stick, and that's what you really need to do. Last time, Tailspin and Buds approached this defense from the same angle. But this time around, Tailspin was on the opposite ledge there where he was able to get his spam with that Junkrat without leaving himself vulnerable. Now, we do see he is not on the high ground yet, as bye week gonna make sure that that point is neutralized, and so he won't be able to abuse that.
Buds falls! The turn from bye week, catching Buds off guard. Buds and Fire both gone, there's not gonna be any resurrections. Tailspin, the only way you save your team here is if you run over their entire team with 1 tire. Probably not possible, but hey, willing to see it happen. Tire goes down, Tire's out of it. Lifa was prepared. Bye week, gonna take Anubis, and we still have ourselves a series.
And it wasn't just Lifa that was prepared for that too. You saw Waifu actually boosting up to that high ground to get that initial damage off, and then Lifa's able to clean up that Tire, make sure no miraculous holds come out from them.
I think bye week heard my cries and heard my positivity, and they were suddenly inspired because that was a whole different team that we watched.
Yeah, I think actually it was entirely you there, where you inspired them, they came back up, but they were playing a lot better, right? Where, you know, we had a lot of focus on Lifa, and you think about how they did their first attack. They had a very clever first attack that Envy wasn't prepared for, and yeah, Lifa, he was sort of neutralized and didn't have angles, but it didn't matter because the tanks and supports of bye week were able to get the better of Envy for their first attack.
Yeah, and it's looking like Lifa's really just channeling the energy, right, of spam this creep for the reverse sweep, and he has been having a great performance, and you know, I said you can't continue to draw from this well, but they continue to do so, and that gives them the first map victory, and that keeps the series alive for them.
I think, though, we have to look at the other end, which is what Envy was doing, and frankly, they stayed on the Genji way too long, and also they just weren't using blades at the right time, where they were doing the sort of old school, I'm gonna blade, you respond, but teams have gotten very good at dealing with that. Pizza Demon wasn't phased in the least. There were no attempts to really make him use the Transcendence early on to give Buds a better opportunity, so Buds would go in, he would blade, he would die, and that happened over and over again. I think if they'd swapped to the Hanzo Pharah way earlier, they might have gotten a better time, because they did eventually get through with that.
Yeah, and part of that also for that point B defense was that Shiny was getting shut down continually every time he tried to go in with that Winston. He was getting bursted down, and a lot of that, I believe, it should have been the damage coming out from Pizza Demon. So, you know, he's just really pulling his weight now on that Zenyatta.
Well, I mean, key to Shiny gang focus, too. Don't forget you had that final fight where they had so many ults online, and then iShiny ends up falling with Primal Rage in tow. That can't happen.
Yeah, it seemed like a lack of communication and coordination from Envy to me. Like you were saying, instead of forcing the Zen to, you know, pop their ult, like you just let it happen. And usually, you know, as a Genji, you can't go in to a blade with someone having a trance. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Even I know that, and I don't play professionally.
Yeah, I mean, the only logic could be going there is that, okay, we don't really want to do anything to the blade, we just want to use the blade as bait to grab Transcendence, but they didn't have any other fall through either, so it didn't work, even if that was the idea going in, where they were just trying to trade blade for Transcendence.
And that was kind of the odd thing, right? Because even though Shiny did get focused down, it looked like at point A, when Tailspin was on the Tracer, his dive with Shiny looked absolutely spectacular. They were moving from target to target like one cohesive unit, but of course Tailspin had to swap off over to Brigitte when he went over to point B, so he didn't have that same kind of dive buddy because, well, Tailspin was on anti-Brigitte duty by playing the Brigitte himself.
Right. Do you think that this is something, this maybe weird lack of cohesion will continue on to the next map, or do you think this was a trip and stumble in Envy?
I mean, truth be told, I kind of look at some of the veteran players on Envy, and I feel like I've been taken back in time where there was once a sort of stigma for North American teams of they don't do well in assault maps. It carried on to them when you saw the first North American teams go in the Apex. They go, wait, what's an assault map? We're bad at this. And I don't know. I mean, there's a bit of a nostalgia factor when watching Envy, and I kind of feel like, okay, you guys are bad on assault, probably better on the Escort.
And I feel like they might have outthought themselves too, because I don't think Tailspin needed to swap off onto Brigitte. I know that a lot of people feel like I need this extra sustain because they're going to have the extra sustain. But again, we were talking about, you know, Pete's Demon not having his Transcendence forced out. What's a great way to do it? Get a Tracer in there with the Pulse Bomb, you know, and then set up Buds. But they just didn't have that kind of mentality.
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, I don't think that was all on Buds there in regards to it. I mean, I think obviously the game plan was just go in and Blade, and there wasn't a game plan to force out the Transcendence, but that's a bad position to be in a Genji. You need a little bit more help.
Right, well, let's check out what the next map will be to see possibly what Bye-Week's chances are and what Envy's chances are as we go into our final matchup.
Gibraltar, right?
Or possibly not final.
Okay.
Yep, are you psychic?
No,
You've been really on it today.
I just know that you have a lot of veteran players there, and they don't like change. Get off my lawn. Don't send me to Rialto.
Oh, God.
Move it to Gibraltar.
That's true. Whenever it comes to old maps and feeling comfortable, it's never Rialto.
Yeah, Rialto, no one knows what goes on there. It's chaos. There's flanks. Sideshow kills like 9 people.
Honestly, you really don't want Lifa to have a chance in this map, and Rialto is one of those where a Widowmaker can be a hyper carry. So you go ahead and go over to Gibraltar, where you can rely a bit more upon your tanks to try and create space, and then, you know, Buds to come in for that finishing blow with the Widowmaker of his own.
So what do you think that we can be seeing from each team to try and take this map as their own, either to end the series or push it to a map 5?
I mean, I don't think we're going to be seeing Bye-Week change too much up here. I would like to see Minish go onto the Hanzo, perhaps, where I know they've been running a lot of like 3-tank, 2-support, and Widow setups, but I'm not sure that's their best look. I think pretty obviously you're going to have Buds on the Widow, Leaf on the Widow, and I mean, really, I think looking into this, you're going to see Envy just try and use their experience here. It's like we've played this map a million times. We know our positionings pretty well. We're going to cover things and sort of take advantage of the fact that Bye-Week is a newer team.
Yeah, Minish, even though he hasn't had a standout performance, but when we saw, you know, the slivers of the Junkrat along with the Hanzo Alphaman, he was performing well. He wasn't, you know, shining. He wasn't continually on the kill feed, but it was enough to really alleviate a lot of the pressure that's on the shoulders of Lifa right now. Right,
so predictions, official predictions. I need to know if you guys are psychic or not.
3-1 Envy at the very end.
I don't flop. Yeah, it's going to be a 3-1. So.
I like that you guys are sticking to your guns. That's admirable, especially because you've been pretty psychic today.
I try sometimes, but every now and then it just, my field of vision doesn't know what's going on, and I get completely wrong. All right, we're in the Gibraltar. It's 13 seconds. We don't even have to wait too long here, Jamerson, and take a look at Envy. Will be a... Are they really going to run? This is a little bit weird. I mean, I could see them running ground pound Buds. Kind of expecting them to run something a little bit more dynamic, but this is looking like it's going to happen. It's going to be Tail and the Brigitte.
Yeah, so it is mirrored composition coming out. You've got the D.Va, the Winston, the Brigittas, the Widowmakers, and it's all just the same down the line. But the thing is here that the initiative, it really isn't on Envy's, especially on Gibraltar, but Buds takes it anyhow. Quick peek, taking out Lifa, forcing out the res from JKW. And already Envy are now going to go ahead and challenge the high ground here.
Well, any kill they get right now, that's going to stick. So they're trying to make the most of it. Bye-Week, though, they hold their ground. They go, nope, nope, you're going to need to do a little bit more than that. Meanwhile, Envy's pushing payload all the while, as Bye-Week only wants a fight in this final corridor.
Now Shiny goes onto the high ground, instantly gets booped back, and it might be Tailspin to fall with the Pocket of the Mercy. He stays alive, and that means Lifa finds Buds, takes him out.
Look at the quick dive in. Bye-Week saying, no, you will not res him. We're going to prevent this. We're diving deep into the control room. Envy, though, takes the brawl. They actually get Buds back up. They take Bye-Week's challenge, and they're actually starting to fight this back the other way. They wanted this backroom brawl here in the server room as Buds finds room to get JKW. Envy is fighting this one back. I like the aggression from Bye-Week, but doesn't really work out. They're going to go the other way as self-destruct. Does not do anything.
It just kind of completely fell apart once they got back into that room now. They're going to try and contest them once again, but Buds and Shiny starting to clean up the members of Bye-Week here. Now at this point, a defense just falling apart for Bye-Week. They have an opportunity to try and come back, but I don't know if you risk this at this point. JKW with the res onto Lifa. Now the pressure is there. No one is able to make it on.
They need to back up in a real hurry, get the high ground, and get back up. I think it's good that they didn't try and go for the contest there. I think it would have ended very poorly for them. You don't want momentum to go to the offense, but Envy still going to look for it. They have Crimzo and Fire ready to go. Buds looking for the early pickoff, and Bye-Week is getting forced very far back to Shiny. He decides to go in. It's going to be Rock'em Sock'em. JKW barely able to get out of the shuttle with his life. Shiny takes a lot of damage, backs on out. Bye-Week coming in with the transcendence of their own, but it's scattered as Envy continues to push the payload.
Yeah, and these defensive ultimates coming out from Bye-Week were just in complete response to Shiny's aggression now. He did ultimately fall, but Pizza Demon has gone down on the opposite end. Resurrections come back out. It's a full 6v6 until Shane takes out Buds in the back.
Transcendence still in progress for Envy, about to fade. Self-destruct back the other way, not gonna connect. Shane pulling his own iShiny here in the back line, making disruption, and it's good enough as Waifu was able to make some sense out of what was going on. Bye-Week gets the hold, but it's still really good payload progress for Envy.
Yeah, there's still 3 minutes and 45 seconds left for them. They're halfway through the shuttle phase here. They're gonna have a rally, so the supports are gonna be a bit bulkier, along with McGravy's self-destruct. You can try to use that to zone them off the point or, you know, try to isolate them. Now rally into the fight. Here's the self-destruct.
Self-destruct moving back, and Shiny tries to follow it up, was trying to get someone stuck back in it. Meanwhile, Buds v Leafa. Buds working with the rally on his side. Ooh, trying to get the shot, gets Leafa on the other end. That big threat out of the fight. Envy now starting to power through around the payload. Tailspin using Brigitte to control the area. Buds continuing to land the shots from the back. 3 kills from Buds, and Bye-Week is routed.
How is this man doing this right now? A lot of those shots just going through the bodies of his own teammates there. And now some staggered eliminations. They have to reset themselves because they got the forward spawn. So Bye-Week, they have to regroup all the way at the end. Envy setting a great pace right now. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. They have so much information to work with as Buds will have the insight for his team.
Yeah, and I think Buds is going to use the recon site here early, grapple up to the right-hand side in all likelihood. Now, he has to be careful that he doesn't give an opportunity for, like, Waifu to go up and challenge him, but recon site's going to come up, and you look to iShiny. Using that information, drops down on the Leafa. He knows who the threat is, and even as he takes damage, he has Primal Rage in reserve, so he's gonna go in super deep, and now, as he's neutralizing Leafa, no one can look at Buds. Buds is gonna have so much room in the back, regardless of whether or not Leafa falls here or not. Envy, they invest even more at the Transcend, but Bye-Week was able to withstand here. Buds didn't get a pick off. Bye-Week is going to invest the rally and go back the other way, so they deal with this initiation from Envy, bring it back the other way, and Envy has to flee with their tail between their legs.
But Bye-Week did have to use almost everything there, right? They go ahead and use the rally along with the Transcendence and the Valkyrie, so no more defensive ultimates for them. There is a sizable difference so far in terms of ultimate charge between the Zenyatta's and the Mercies now. Oh, that's a great fire strike. Shane now setting up the corner here. He's got the Earth Shatter, throws it down, connects onto 5. That's the easy follow-up as he swings on all of Team Envy.
Shane's been waiting for that all day. Shane just probably tilts his head back, lets out a primal roar as Envy all hit the dirt. That was excellent coming out from Shane.
Well, it's where you tilt so much that you're actually back into your original orientation, right? And so here he is now, once again, 26-48 with another great fire strike. But they do have the information, but take it to the high ground. Here comes the self-destruct from Bye-Week.
And it's good, it just disrupts, it makes Shiny turn his shield. He's unable to do it in such a way that he doesn't end up falling, and that's a good stagger. Fire probably won't even want to res that there. I think we'll see. They got Leaf on the other end, so now it's a little bit more tricky where it's like, do we bring him back up? Do we wait? Both teams just kind of posturing for good positioning.
Now Shane, because Shiny went down early on, has the advantage once again with that Earth Shatter. Dropped down low. He's at 78% now, and he's looking for it. He wants to be able to pressure the Rhine shield.
Shane, though, gonna lose a shield early on in the hot seat right now. Discord Orb on, heavy damage down he goes. Envy now taking the initiative. Transcendence about to fade for Bye-Week. Here comes the Dragon. Tailspin unleashed. 3 kills from Tailspin as he makes the sense of the situation. Comes back the other way. Buds grabs 3. Now 4 Buds with the cleanup. And Envy well on their way to finishing out Gibraltar.
And this is the bigger strength that Envy have over Bye-Week. They can rely upon either Tailspin or Buds to come up with these huge plays now. Shane comes back on in with that Reinhardt. He's got the Earth Shatter. It's going to be crucial, but it's the Earth Shatter coming out from Shiny. Buds connects, 2 down. That's the 3rd as Pizza Demon falls.
Tailspin and Buds right now, the Bash brothers skating around the ice, giving each other high fives. They just need a little bit more, but Bye-Week, they've got 1 or 2 pickoffs. There is a light at the end of the tunnel here, perhaps. However, Tailspin getting res back up to the fray. The pressure still coming in from Envy. They're not waiting for all the respawns, and they get Shane. Buds following up when Tailspin begins. Here comes a Dragon. Time to move for Bye-Week. Do the Hagen dance. As Leafa, though, gets Buds, and Bye-Week, they're refusing to die here so far.
The swap off for the Tracer working out well. Leafa doesn't need to play highly aggressive. He was just on the high ground there, peppering away with them as the Transcendence is used by Envy to try to keep this alive. They don't get any res off and they have to back away.
Bye-Week gets themselves out of the fire. Big, of course, shout-outs to Leafa at the very end, getting rid of Buds, getting rid of some of that pressure. And now they don't have to hold for 30 more seconds as Envy, late Zarya swap, a little weird.
All they have for this next fight is going to be the Valkyrie coming up from fire. While Pizza Demon has the Transcendence there, Minish almost has the rally, a lot more sustain on the side of Bye-Week. You see them pushing forward. Shane has to be careful as this Reinhardt Shiny's getting close to an Earth Shatter as time ticks away for Team Envy.
Time is going away, Tailspin on top. Laying in the Storm Arrows, Buds grabs Minish. Man advantage right now for Envy if they can deny the res. And oh, JKW went for it and somehow didn't fall. I don't know how he didn't fall there. There were so many people around him. Leafa back on the other side. Buds doing work on top, pressured down by Waifu. Waifu close to gang D-Mech. The Dragon does too much as Shane drops a hammer again, takes down 2. Bye-Week defending their turf. Shane leading the way, and Envy falling 1 by 1. They leave off the payload. Overtime ticks down, and Tailspin can't get on the point in time.
Wow, it looked like Team Envy were just on pace to finish off this map, but of course we fall into the escort third point kind of trap where teams have difficulty just closing it out. You know, the respawn distance for the defenders just so much shorter. So they have a huge advantage in that regard, but also Leafa coming alive for the team. And Shane having some clutch Earth Shatters there. Now Envy on the defense, it looks like they're gonna run a very similar composition. Tailspin already hovering over that Brigitte for the team, as she does pick up strength later on into this map. So now Bye-Week, it's up to them to try and keep this series alive. With this win, we go to a map number 5. They might be able to do what LNL did earlier this week.
Could be very interesting and also very bad for Envy, of course, if that were to be the case, where we kind of talked beforehand. This is sort of the series that Envy need to come out and prove that they were champions, sort of put the foot on the throat, and Bye-Week has been fighting back as the series has gone on, and it would be certainly something if Bye-Week was able to take this, because it would break everything wide open, and it would be very, very grim for Team Envy.
It's been a tremendous effort coming out from Leafa. Now, Minish is going to try his hand at, you know, alleviating that pressure from him. Going over to that Hanzo, who does work out well. The double sniper composition, really, they need that extra damage to try and deal with Team Envy right now. And especially now that they put themselves at a kind of disadvantage through Team Envy with Tailspin going over to the Brigitte.
I mean, I think the clear thing here for Envy is that they're going to want to try and fight this around the server room if possible, but usually it's been Leafa that's been stuck dealing with pretty unfavorable situations all night long. Now Leafa gets a bit more of a power play, gets more room to work with, because it's going to be Buds that's trying to fight against Minish and Leafa at the same time, so a bit of a status change here for Leafa.
So we're seeing the usual hold coming out. Last time when it was Envy on the offensive, it was Buds who was able to make a quick peek and take out his counterpart in Leafa. As Leafa goes ahead for that peek, he doesn't get anything off of it, but it's now Minish from the high ground trying to apply some pressure onto the defense here. But they're playing around the tarp, playing around blue, making sure, you know, they're not giving him that LOS.
I mean, in general, Envy here, they don't want to take a long-range fight. They're just not built for it. They want to fight this more close up. Shane gonna push the issue, gets really low, but gets on out. Ends up building quite a bit towards his own charge. Minish almost gets taken down, but still alive and in a good position. Buds is still looking for these pickoffs in the back, but Bye-Week, and they're gonna get Tail. Tail ends up falling, and this is the opportunity that Bye-Week was looking for.
And he is not in a real resable position. They should be able to pressure it here as Shiny goes to the high ground now. And so, yeah, they will be able to convert upon that, make sure that stays down, but it's Minish who falls. Crimzo from the high ground.
Crimzo stepping up big for Envy. That was one where it could have been Bye-Week's time. But Bye-Week unable to take advantage of the early pickoff. They let Envy recover as Buds takes down Minish, and Buds is looking rejuvenated here, even as he's dealing with that 1v2 sniper battle. But look what's going on underneath. That was where Envy wanted to take the fight, and they just demolished Bye-Week near the payload.
Primal Rage is used by Shane here. And that could have been a really good tool coming into this next fight. But now, bye week, really set themselves behind as Envy. They're going to have both support ultimates. They got the self-destruct. And they're also going to have the Primal Rage for Shiny. So now, bye week, they're going to have to rely upon Minish to come up with a huge play, or Leafa, of course, to just do Leafa things on this Widowmaker.
I mean, you would think that this would be the time to find those early picks. It's a better situation than all time. Dragon Strike in early on for bye week, and Envy deals with it pretty well. The Valkyrie healing in the back keeps everyone nice and healthy, so the Dragon essentially does nothing. Envy withstanding, and now they're gonna chase down Shane. Shane nowhere to go. Envy goes, yeah, we're gonna hunt you down. Meanwhile, Waifu's not in a great position either. Waifu gonna get demeched on the other end. Crimzo's marking him up, everyone else knocking him down. And now it's Buds versus Snipers on the other side. Looking to clean it up, gets Waifu. Now, clean shots in the Mercy.
Wow, Bud's not even worried about the snipers there. He's going after the Mercy instead, but they already had the team fight one, right? And he had his Mercy right there. So if he falls, he does get resurrected. But now, bye week, their chances starting to dwindle here to come into the next fight. Minish started off the last fight with the Dragon Strike. It wasn't much successful. Luckily for him, Hanzo built it up rather quickly, so he's already at another Dragon Strike. We'll see if he can get hit pay dirt with this one, though.
I mean, the rest of the fight was good for Minish, it's just the Dragon Strike was bad. So, you know, glass half full, glass half empty. Good part here, does get the Dragon Strike for this fight in the final minute. Drops the Dragon early on, and they immediately delete Tailspin. Envy, unprepared for the Dragon this time around. Minish, the quick redemption. Takes a good shot to the head, but is healed right back up. Firing way back over, almost gets Mercy, and bye week's gonna engage with the Transcendence here. They're putting everything they have into this fight. Envy, though, still delaying. Leafa got caught by Shiny, who dove in with the Primal Rage, and Envy now flooding back on the point. Tailspin is back on in. Minish getting pushed back. Has another Dragon built up mid-fight. But that Dragon was under pressure, doesn't do quite as much. And Envy, though wounded, they're getting back onto the point. Buds has a good vantage point here to strike members of bye week, but oh, and Shane got back on him, but had to give his life for it, and it's not gonna be enough.
They just did not have enough sustain. 10 seconds left now as Pizza Demon swaps over to the Soldier 76 and wants to add a little bit more damage there for the team. They need to finish this off. Leafa now going over to the Tracer. Someone has to touch, and it is gonna be him. He's gonna have to use that recall, but he will swap out. Tags out with Waifu as they come back in. Overtime now, ticking away. They have to win this fight just to keep this alive. Try to send it to him at 5.
Minish already down though. Crimzo on fire, takes down 2. The support line of Envy doing their job into Envy. Drops the self-destruct, takes down 3. McGravy gonna fish it off with a bang, and Envy holds bye week here on Gibraltar, and they take the series 3-1.
I think you were right. It was just the Assault Curse. This seemed way more coordinated going in.
Yeah, it was a combination of things where their attack was a little bit weird, but their defense was very, very good.
Yeah, and we got to see, actually, Crimzo there really lighting up the kill feed, but he was doing so much because he was holding that traditional kind of support ledge where you hide by the window room, and then from there you peek out, you do a lot of damage, and they weren't ever able to dive that successfully. Shane jumps on in, but of course, Shane just feeds over ultimate charge, basically, to Crimzo that entire time.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about supports doing their job there, where Crimzo was marking down both Shane and Waifu every time they came in, and you'd see Envy just turn on a dime. They go, wait, blow them up.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the team wasn't able to cover them for bye week. They couldn't take advantage of the tanks giving their lives. So the tank focus coming in from Envy there really working out.
Yeah, and I think Shane had a magnificent shatter coming in.
Yeah, you had the 5-man.
Yeah, which is so impressive to see, and that really is just kind of like those amazing Diva ultimates. They save the match and really push a team forward.
Shane was looking for the big shatter pretty much all series long.
The redemption story.
Yeah, he got it.
He finally got it on Gibraltar, where all of Envy ends up hitting the deck. But in the end, Envy putting on a very good defense here on Gibraltar. And I mean, look, you have enough players on here that have played Gibraltar a million times at this point. It's a map that's always kind of lended itself to cheeky defenses. And it's not a surprise that they were able to find a way through here on first.
Yeah, and, you know, despite, you know, some of the shaky performance coming out from Shane, there were moments where he almost did carry the team fight, especially in that last one on Gibraltar, where he was just jumping from target to target. It just came down to just way too much sustain coming out from the triple support lineup of Envy's defense. You've got the Mercy, you've got the Zen, and then when Tailspin comes back with the Brigitte, she like plays as that off tank. She's that bruiser who provides healing at the same time. It was just too much. Shane just could not do enough at the end there.
Yeah, and I mean, also credit to Envy for being able to recover from how that last fight began, where Tailspin got deleted, where it was a nice dive coming in. The Hanzo Dragon Strike set the stage, and then Envy just kind of went back a little bit. Shiny found a time, the Primal Rage into the backline successfully, while still defending the payload, and Envy got themselves out of a tough situation. You don't see teams hold 5v6 all that often.
Right, so going forward, when Bye Week plays again, what do you think they should really focus on to try and maybe show a better performance next time?
Part of it, I think, just support Leafa more. I think if you look at the earlier maps, he wasn't getting the support that a lot of good Widows often get, where it felt like he was going up against very tough circumstances over and over again, and he was still doing well. I wonder what would have happened if you had a Mercy that was holding back a little bit more, supporting Leafa, letting him flex and be more aggressive in those sniper v sniper battles.
Yeah, particularly on Li Zhang, right? When we were on Garden, he wasn't receiving a pocket at all. And you have to understand that if a Widowmaker hits a headshot with the damage boost from the Mercy, that's like 390 damage. It's a lot, and that will stem the aggression for a Winston or a D.Va, because they instantly have to turn around and get healed up before they can try and go get proactive again. But without that kind of damage potential out there, we saw Envy just walk through them.
Well, the other thing, too, is that when you're dealing with another Widow and a Pharah, right, if you take any glancing damage, whether it be from a rocket or from another snipe shot, it gives you downtime as a Widowmaker where you can't easily stay out there and continue poking, because then, you know, a breeze will knock you over. So Leafa at times would go out, would get damaged, and then would have to be out of the fight for an extended period of time, which essentially was giving Envy de facto 6v5s that they very much took advantage for.
Right, and yes, Envy did take the series, but going forward, if you could give them any pointers, say you were their coach, what would be their things to work on going forward?
I mean, on assault maps, I think you stuck with the Genji far too long.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at Pharah. Might want to use that a little bit more often on Anubis.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tailspin is great on the Brigitte. He had his moments throughout the series, but I still want to see him play DPS. I want to see him on the Tracer. I want to see him on the Pharahs, and it did work out for them. And I think that, especially for Point B Anubis, if they had just stuck with the Tracer with Tailspin on it, build up the Pulse Bomb, that should have been their win condition. Force out the Trance with that Pulse Bomb, and then go into Blade. There are better ways to set that up instead of hoping that, you know, Buds can just dodge everything coming out from the defense.
But really not able to challenge inner Keanu Reeves there, but who can?
And maybe with both teams going forward, more communication is necessary on both sides, because as we talked about, not just with ult economy and using them at the right times, but just fighting together seems to really win fights.
You know, believe it or not, teamwork does make the dream work. To go
God.
for old school.
I'm so sorry I said anything. I started it.
You are responsible for setting this up.
And along with teamwork makes the dream work, the real prize were the friends we won along the way, yada, yada, yada. We will be back with more Overwatch in just a minute, so you're going to want to stick around. Sorry for all the bad puns.